Welcome to the Mental Health Multiverse.
We're your hosts,
HB
and LB.
We'll be breaking down some of our favorite movies and TV shows as they relate to mental health, self-healing, and overall wellness, while also breaking stigmas, shedding light on misinterpretations, and helping you understand yourself a little better.
If you're also on a healing journey and enjoy pop culture, stick around. Hi friends, welcome to another episode. We are talking all about Tiana from Princess and the Frog today, and I am so excited, and I'm even more excited because we have a special guest with us. Woo, woo, woo.
Yes. We have Robin Nixon here, who is also, for those of you who are listening and can't see, in a full Tiana Disney bound right now, which is so cool. You're the first guest that we've had on who's done this, and I love it, and I think it should be a requirement from here on out. No pressure, any future guests. But anyway, Robin and I were connected, I believe, first on TikTok, and then we followed each other on Instagram. And I think one of the reasons that we connected is because we have very similar philosophies on body image and cosplay and mental health and all of that kind of stuff. So Robin is a body neutral LGBTQ fat cosplayer in the Los Angeles area who promotes mental health awareness, acceptance in cosplay for any shape, size, gender, color, and age. Robin also has ADHD, which is right on brand for us because LB and I also have ADHD, so this will be fun. But Robin also has autism and always fights for inclusion and awareness. She can be found on Instagram at Robin Nerdy Nixon and on TikTok at Robin Nerdy Cosplay. Both of those links will be in the show notes for you to find. And their pronouns are she, her, they. And they've been cosplaying for 8 years, and they love cosplaying Disney princesses whom they relate to. And as a lifelong Disney fan, Robin's favorite of all time is The Little Mermaid, and favorite character is Scar from The Lion King. So we are super excited to have Robin on to discuss Princess Tiana with us. Yay! Robin, can we put you on the spot and have the first thing you say on the podcast be an abridged synopsis of Princess and the Frog?
Spoilers, right? Spoilers. I mean,
yes,
yeah, it's okay, totally.
Yeah,
Spoiler
we're
alert.
fully expecting anyone listening to this has seen the movie. And if not,
so. If not, you will know about it now.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It's about a young woman who is struggling to make her dreams come true. She has a loving mother. Her father has passed, and she wants to carry on the dream that he wanted his own restaurant. So she's working hard. Pretty much gets tangled up with a prince who wants to be his playboy natured self, and he ends up running in with the Shadow Man, turns into a frog. He tries to kiss Tiana, thinks she's a princess. They both turn into frogs for the whole rest of the movie. Antics ensue in the bio, and then she kind of learns that life isn't all about working. It's all about making time for other things and making your dreams happen in the same time, but still taking time for yourself. And in the end, she finally realizes that, and the Shadow Man gets the curse broken, and she turns back into a human with Naveen, and happily ever after. She gets a restaurant. Yay!
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yay. Thank you for that.
That was beautiful.
That was perfect.
No, it was great.
That was perfect. You hit all the major points. Truly. That was great. Thank you for doing that. I know we put you right on the spot. We put you on the spot.
We do this to our guests. Yes, it's a fun thing we do.
It's a fun little
breaker. Your toes.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the movie came out in I almost said 1999. That is very wrong. It came out in 2009.
It feels like it though, because it's the 2D animation.
Yeah.
So it came out December 11th, 2009.
Day before my birthday.
It is. Oh, really?
Yeah, December 12th.
Oh my gosh. So did you see?
What a great birthday present.
right?
I
Did you see
did.
this movie on your birthday?
I did. It was like the best. It was absolutely the best. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was
No,
like,
no, no.
No,
that
go.
was something that was so monumental because she's a Black princess, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then she loves to cook, and I'm like, I love to cook, and I was just like, oh my god. And then it was like on my birthday, and I was like, this was made for me. So I know it's not, Disney doesn't know about me, but I feel like they did it for me for my moment.
One of my first experiences. So I actually didn't see this movie until later in my adult life because I was mad at Disney. I mean, I know I should have supported it, but like when this movie was coming out, I was in this English class and we had to write an opinion dissertation. And we had to basically like argue a point. And I wrote about the lack of diversity in the Disney princesses, and we had to do like a whole presentation, and it was like one of our final projects my freshman year. And it was like right before this movie was about to come out, and it was announced. It was like this huge big deal, and my whole paper, what I wrote about was like the lack of diversity, and that it took until 2009 for us to get a Black Disney princess.
Yeah.
And then I also talked about the problematic nature in which all the Disney princesses of color exist in.
Mhm.
And my professor loved that presentation so much that he kept it and used it for examples for future presentations.
Oh,
I was like,
hey.
Yes.
so that's like one of my prouder moments of my college career. But I think I do wish I would have watched it. I wish I wouldn't have been as like petty as I was, and I wish I would have just watched it and enjoyed it in the time as it was. But I also heard one of my Black best friends in college saw it and was very disappointed about the
Yeah.
fact that she's a frog most of the movie. And
Yeah, the movie.
so I
Mm-hmm.
think that was another reason where I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna support it. I'm not gonna um and so I think that's something we could talk about too throughout the discourse of this episode. But like Disney really likes to turn their characters of color into something else.
The character,
Uh
so yeah,
yeah.
it's wild. It's insulting, honestly, but it's sad. But in this world, we kind of have to take what we can get. I'm like, any stepping stone is a stepping stone. Sadly, it's like
Mhm.
it may only be like a two-step ladder, but I'm like, I'll take it. Like that's still at least two, steps off the ground. I am, closer to something.
Yeah.
So it's
Progress is still progress. Yeah.
exactly. It's like sad that, but it's true. And I was so upset when I saw that too, because I was just like, did we just get ripped off a little bit? Yeah. Like now that I'm older and I kind of see where they were kind of going for, because I mean, I don't still accept it or approve of it at all. They could have done it so, so, so differently. But I get where they're coming from because, with them both being frogs in the bayou, they interacted with all these like other characters that kind of helped them have this like, kind of like awakening moments. I kind of get that, and it kind of took like the human element out of it because watching it back, if I was to watch them as they were, I feel like I probably wouldn't have been impacted because I'm not gonna lie, when I watch a movie and it's like, human actors, regular people, I'm not as connected to it. But when I watch it with like animals or when I watch it with like creatures,
Mm.
for some reason it tends to hit me a little harder. Like I know this sounds so bad, but sometimes, if a human actor, passes, I cry maybe, I don't know, huh? Well, if a dog or a cat or anything like that, just tears, bawling.
Mhm.
I cried for Wally, man. That was a computer. He's a little robot, and I
Little
was just
robot.
bawling. And then in
Yeah.
the movie, it's just like I feel like more connected to the animals, which is weird, but I feel like that's kind of how Disney's kind of worked their way into our minds in a moment, in a way. It's just I don't know. That's me
No.
rambling. Yeah.
No, I can totally see what you're saying, and like maybe LB will have some to add to this as well, but I understand that it's like they needed to be separated from their humanity in a way to go through this journey that
Yeah.
they went on. and that had they been in human form, it may not have affected them the same way.
Yeah.
And they had to experience their own biases about characters too.
Yeah.
Like, that as frogs, they wanted to eat the lightning bugs, but then
Yeah.
realized like, no, this lightning bug can save our life. And like that a crocodile or an alligator, crocodile, I don't I don't know which one, but
Crocodile.
the one that likes to play the
Lewis.
trumpet, like, but like, there's a prejudice there that's like, this
Yeah.
is it. This is something I'm supposed to be afraid of. Therefore, I am going to run away. So I think like in a different way, it used animals to showcase that prejudice and bias that we can have, and how people
Yeah.
or creatures aren't always what you initially perceive them to be.
It also gave me, especially with like Lewis, and following his dreams of playing the trumpet in a jazz band, reminded me a lot of like Ratatouille, that like anyone can cook,
Yeah.
anyone can play music.
Mhm.
Although my only question is like, do crocodiles even have the lips and the lung capacity to play the trumpet?
Thought that
We
too.
we suspend our disbelief for
I
that.
know.
We
Disney magic, all
True,
right?
true, true.
I also want to acknowledge like what you said too, was like, even though the movie had that problematic element, your first gut instinct was that you felt seen in her.
Yeah. Yeah, very
Mm.
much so. And it's like, I mean, even though she wasn't seen as Black for like 90% of the movie, she still was, within herself, still Black. So I felt that, but it was
Mhm.
just and it became not even like about the race moment, but it became more about just like the the metaphor, or just like the thought behind it itself, because she was like always pushing herself, always working harder. And I mean, as a Black person, especially as a Black cosplayer, Black creator, we have to work at least 100% harder than other people. Like, somebody can pick 10% into something, and it's like, oh my god, that's the best thing ever, oh my god, give them the gold ribbon, yes, woo. But then it's like, if we go like 90%, not even full 100, they're like, oh, that's so lazy, or that's such a cop out, or oh, that's and so it's like we always have to work harder, 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 be the best, be the best, be the best. And this movie kind of
Mm.
taught us, kind of like, it's okay to like slow down. You can reach your dreams, do your dreams, never stop, working hard. Don't wish upon stars, also put in hard work, but
Mhm.
take time for yourself too. So I kind of atoned that to like mental health also, because it's like I can push myself so hard and let my mental health kind of just go to pot. But that kind of made me like think about like, yeah, slow down, listen to some jazz, chill, just da 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 da, just take a moment, relax, and still pursue your dreams, but also focus on the other things that will make you more well-rounded. Focus on other things that'll make you happy, and that way you don't put all your eggs in one basket, type of thing. And I don't know if any of that makes sense, but
That
yeah.
no, that totally makes sense. Absolutely. And thank you for bringing that up, because I think that that is such an important message and takeaway from the movie, is that like, yes, hard work is important. And it's also a balance. Like, what good is the hard work if you're too exhausted to enjoy the benefits of the hard work? And I think the balance lies in rest, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can work hard and still take breaks. You can work hard and still rest, and that doesn't mean you're being lazy. It doesn't mean you're too weak. It doesn't mean you're not strong enough or good enough to accomplish your goal. It just means that you are accepting the whole process. And that is both hard work and rest, hard work and having fun, hard work and, all of the things. Like in every single episode, we're always talking about the both and that is like the biggest both and for me from this movie for sure. And just like you said, and I have a note about this later on, but like, there's so many components surrounding Tiana's life that's like fueling this overachieving perfectionism,
Mhm.
that like the pressure and desire to make someone else happy or proud, like wanting to honor her dad, which is like beautiful and amazing, but it kind of tips over into like the not so great side, where it's like fueling everything she's doing, and she's foregoing her own capacity and her own needs to make this dream a reality. But we can get into that later. But all of that to say, like, yes, follow your dreams, work hard, and also rest and have fun, because we're also living our lives right now. Life doesn't happen when we finally hit like fulfill our dream. Life is
Yeah.
happening right now. So Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That's such a good point.
And to add to that, also acknowledging that all of this is so much harder for Black women.
Yes. 1000%.
LB, what was your first experience with seeing this movie, and what are your favorite things about Princess Tiana?
That's a good question. I don't know if I saw it in theaters. I probably did. But I can't remember off the top of my head. I know that it was an immediate favorite. I really did like it. I was not aware until much, much later in my adult life about the problematic nature of having her be a frog for most of the movie, because I did not grow up in such open-minded and inclusive spaces. So that irks me a little bit. It also kind of irks me, and this is like, I don't want to lead with a critique, but I'm going to say it anyway because I'm going to forget it otherwise. One of my critiques of the movie, in addition to everything we've already talked about, is that it feels like Naveen like pulled her down into his story, and we kind of lose a little bit of her. It doesn't feel like her story, as strongly as it did for like Moana or Mulan or Rapunzel or whatever. It just felt like her story and her plot got disrupted by this like big major event. And yes, she learns lessons along the way, and yes, it was very important, but it just like, I don't know, like her story and her plot is more so influenced by these other people rather than like her being in the driver's seat, so to speak. But I guess that is kind of reality. Sometimes our stories and our lives don't go exactly according to plan, and there's like hiccups that are out of our control and stuff. But anyway. The things I do like about her, though, she's very family oriented, which is interesting for me personally, because I grew up not feeling well connected to my family, but there's something really refreshing about their connection, especially with her and her dad. Her dad reminded me a lot of my grandfather who passed in December. He loved to cook for people. He was probably the best cook in the entire world, and I will stand by that statement. He made the best ribs, and I have successfully convinced three of my friends of that fact. He made the best ribs in the entire world. Love you, Paka. Okay. And so that scene just, it really hit me because he loved to cook for other people. Like that was his love language. That's what brought our family together. And even though we weren't super well connected, it was a very special, like food was very special for us, in that regard. So I really like that. That's one of her driving forces, is like family. She has a very supportive mother, which is very sweet. She's very hardworking. Again, like we talked about, teetering into overachiever, which is kind of like, what I talk about with my work and with my clients and stuff. But I do like that she is hardworking, because it's the message, again, the takeaway being that like you can wish on stars and you have to put in the work and you're allowed to rest. I like that. I like that she's a dreamer. Especially HB, I'm sure you can relate, us being on it, and Robin, us being entrepreneurs and creators and not having the traditional like 9 to 5, and following our dreams. I really like that. I really like that she doesn't give up. And I really, really like that she is patient. Dear Lord, is she patient? And I know a lot of that is like social, societal constraints where she couldn't flat back,
like
but
Black woman.
but she is. So
yeah, I think if we were to put her in a Hogwarts house, she would be Hufflepuff for sure.
Hufflepuff too.
I just think like all of those things that you just said, I was like Hufflepuff, Hufflepuff,
Yeah.
Hufflepuff, Hufflepuff, Hufflepuff.
Well, I don't know. She's also very ambitious, so I feel like there's a little bit of Slytherin, and I'm saying that because I'm Slytherin. So like, I feel like she'd be a blend. You don't, you don't think so?
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. I didn't know you were a Slytherin.
Oh.
My boyfriend fights me on that. I've taken the Pottermore. So I not only have I taken the Pottermore test 4 times, I've done like the quiz that does all of the questions. And I'm majority Slytherin, very, very closely Hufflepuff, and then like Ravenclaw, and then Gryffindor is like the least. It's like less than 1%.
Wow.
Fun facts about LB and her.
Well, that's probably why you and I get along then, because Hufflepuffs and Slytherins get along really well. Um, but anyway, everything you listed, I do think, I guess it could be a debate. That's what we can ask our listeners. Like, what Hogwarts house would you put Princess Tiana in? But everything that you said is also reasons why I like her. And I think that I relate to the hardworking aspect so much because, especially as you were saying, being a creator and entrepreneur, living in New York City, like I
Totally.
hustle a lot. And I just like, I kind of needed the reminder from this movie of like, there's other things in life
Yeah.
that are also important. And I kind of just like sat down and was like, oh, I can't tell what message I'm supposed to be getting from this. Like, am I supposed to? Because I know we normally talk about our favorite quotes and stuff later, but I kind of want to mention this now is like her dad says that old star can only take you part of the way. You got to help him with some hard work on your own. And that
I wrote that one down
resonated with
too.
me so hard. I was like, yes, Papa Sir. I don't remember his
Papa
name.
Sir.
Papa Tiana. Yes. Like I related to that so much. But then at the
Yeah.
end of the movie, she says, Daddy never did get what he wanted, but he had what he needed. He had love. He never lost sight of what was really important. And so I was like, these are two of my favorite quotes because they both balance out what exactly we're talking about of like, yes, you have to work hard, but also you have to recognize what's in front of you and have that balance of like, you have enough, you are enough, think about what's really important. And I was like just sitting there like, oh, these quotes, I'm so conflicted, but also just like needing to let it sink in about like just relax, take a breath, like be chill, be cool. um and going back to more things, like I think LB, you said everything else I love about her. She's so kind. She's so kind.
So kind.
One of my favorite scenes of her is when she's in the restaurant and she remembers everyone's name. She remembers their order.
Yes.
She's like, oh, do you need some of this? Oh, hey, here's this
Here's a
coming
napkin,
right up.
sweetheart.
It's
Yeah,
so
exactly. Like, oh my gosh. And like, she's confident too, which I think is
yeah.
amazing, especially in her ability to cook. But it's like when you know you're good at something, you know you're good at something. And she
Yes.
also had that support growing up. Like her dad
Yeah.
was like, everybody come eat this gumbo, come eat that, like, come on, we got to share this. Like she had such supportive parents that helped her have that confidence too, I think. And going back to those quotes that I was saying, like she's optimistic, but she's also realistic. So she has like this balance of optimism and realism that I think is really beautiful. And that I just think that she's a very unique Disney princess
Yes.
with all of those qualities
Yeah.
combined,
Yeah. What about you, Robin? What are some things you like about Tiana?
Everything that y'all just said is nail on the head, perfect. I'm sorry, I just been fighting back tears like the whole time because I'm just like, I
Mm.
like this movie. Uh, it hits so close, like with the father, and like I did everything with my dad. Like he helped me like learn how to like rebuild cars, and we worked on cars together. Like we did all these like fun things together, and then like when he passed, it's just like it hit hard. And so like this movie, I was like bawling like in the theater. It's just it, it it's so amazing because it's like my dad too, just would always like have those like little nuggets of wisdom, and it's just like yes, and it's like you don't realize that until it's gone. And I don't know, this movie, I love the relationship she had, and then like she's trying to make his dreams come true. She's trying to keep him alive through that, and I try to do that in everything I do too. And I've realized I do push myself too far sometimes, and I have to take moments of rest. And it's like you have to think, yeah, he didn't have everything, but he had what he needed. And I'm just like, that's so like perfect because it's like we strive ourselves to be the best, the biggest, everything, top of the top, get all this success, and everything is just so calculated and gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do this. But it's like stop, take a moment, and just think about like what you surround yourself, what you have around yourself, and Like, are you happy? Just take a moment to check in with yourself and just know that, yeah, it's good to, get your dreams, but also make sure you're living your life and make sure that you're not letting your dreams overtake your life that you're in right now. And
Mm-hmm.
uh yeah, it's so good. Yeah, like I said, like it's problematic, but of all the Disney movies, it's one of my favorites. It really is, because it's like you guys were saying, it's like so unique and it's so different, but it for me, it's the most realist princess movie. Because even like because all of them, they're all still somewhat not make believe, but somewhat it's like and this one, it just it ties into real life because we're always working, we're always trying to push and trying to go further, faster, trying to, you know, all these things, and we forget to take time for ourselves. And that's what this whole beginning part, and it was just a restaurant, and you could and oh my god, the way that they showed how like she was like going from work morning to night, and then like she was changing like her outfit, she was changing like, different jobs and dropping it into the can, and it's just like Disney didn't have to go that hard, but they did on that. It was just all those like little like moments that it's just when you watch it back, you're just like, dang, she's really saving every penny she has. She doesn't even go out like dancing for Mardi Gras with her friends because she's working. And even in the background, like her friend is like, oh, she's always working. And it's just like, dang, that sounds like me all the time. So I started like taking time where I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna take a day off of work, go to a con, or I'm gonna take a day off of work and just, relax and, go out with friends or something, just socialize. Just take some time. Cause that was showing like how much she's overworking herself, and even her friends are like, you're always working hard, always, no, there's no time for fun. And then at the end, she's dancing on the roof with her
I
friends top
know.
of her restaurant. I'm just like, yes, she got her dreams and she's having fun. Let's go. Balance, baby. Balance.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love everything you said so much. And I also want to add, like, when you said that it's like the realest Disney story, I think that to add to everything that you were just saying, like, all of the characters are so flawed.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's not just that there's one clear villain and
No.
one clear good person. There's a group of people who are existing and they are all flawed and they are figuring out how to navigate life with these flaws, which I think is very realistic, despite the fact that they are not human for more than half of the movie, right?
Honestly.
Yeah.
Something else I did want to touch on is it also shows about friendship too. Like it's one of the stories where it's like, yeah, Lottie's not she's not really a sidekick, but kind of a sidekick, but like she's still like above Tiana, and it's like I feel like Tiana, if she really wanted to, she could have, had Lottie. I'm pretty sure Lottie probably would have like, asked Big Daddy to like, drop down some, couple hundos or something. But she never did. And then Lottie always respected her choices of that. And then like Lottie was always, oh my god, like Lottie is like the best friend that we all want, It's like from childhood, they've always had each other's
Yeah.
back. She always saw Tiana as like, I'm reading into it, but I feel like she always kind of seen her as like a sister, because like the way that,
Totally. Yeah, yeah,
right,
yeah.
and it's the way that like she brought her upstairs after like Tiana got her dress ruined or whatever at the party, and she's like, oh, I got something for you, and then she's like. And then she put her in this beautiful gown, and then she put the tiara on. When she put that tiara on, I bawled. I was crying in the theater a lot. I'm just saying. But yeah, that scene got me because it was just like friendship.
Friendship.
But yeah, that was something else that like always kind of stuck out to me because it's just like Lottie always kind of like never made Tiana feel lesser than. She never. I mean, just from like the movie perspective, but it was just always equals, and they were always friends even as children, and it's just like, yeah, I don't know, that was something I just wanted to just point out.
No, I love it. I I think I agree. Lottie is a great friend. And one thing that you like, I don't know, there's this like unspoken rule that I thought about while watching this movie that maybe you guys did too, which was like, there's always this like, oh, because my friend has a crush on this person, that means I can't also have a crush on this
Yeah,
person or
Right.
whatever. And like Lottie,
Girl
it's
code or
been
whatever.
her, yeah, like girl code. Like Lottie's life dream has been to marry a prince. Like
prince.
her whole entire life, it has been her dream to marry a prince. But the way that she sees Tiana fall in love with the real Naveen,
Oh,
she's very much capable of being like, no, no, this is the love of your life. Like,
yes. She stepped
let's make this
aside. That was so,
happen.
oh, that was
No, it is so sweet,
amazing.
especially like when she's dancing with the fake Naveen, right? And then Tiana falls on her stuff and her dress gets ruined. And Lottie's like, "Did you see that? I was dancing with the prince." And then she sees Tiana and she's like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" Like she drops everything. Like the
It's
prince is
like
no longer in her mind. And she's like, "Let me go take care of
amazing.
you."
I
It's
love
so beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah, it's so precious. Female friendships, man, just like
Yes.
there's nothing, truly nothing more special. But Robin, going back to what you were saying, you touched on everything I kind of wanted to say about this movie. Like truly and in such a good way, like in the best way. Because and first of all, I'm sorry to hear about your dad, but I love that you're honoring him and I love that this movie in some kind of way honors your guys' relationship and is like a thing you can point to and reference when you're, thinking about your relationship. Because I think sometimes losing a loved one can inadvertently fuel overachieving perfectionism behaviors
Yes.
because we're pressured by the desire to make someone else proud or at least like not disappoint them, and we adopt that like I have to do this, I have to do this for them, like it's upon me to fulfill their dream, that mentality. And I don't think it's something that was like outrightly touched on, but her hard work could definitely be seen as overachieving because she wanted to make her parents proud and make her dad proud and honor his legacy, which again is not a bad thing, but the
Yeah.
balance lies in rest. The
Yeah.
balance lies in still living your life and honoring
Yeah.
your needs and your capacity. And what's interesting though is that like her mom isn't pressuring her to do this. Like
Yeah.
no one is putting that pressure on her. It really is kind of self-inflicted, which I think is a great reminder that like you can have like a quote unquote functional or good childhood, but then still come out with like anxiety and
Yeah.
perfectionism and like all of these things, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just means that like, it what's the phrase I'm looking for? It's not exclusive to big T, little T, traumatic childhoods or whatever. So anyway, but that quote she says where I think they're in the restaurant for the first time or in the building. It's not quite a restaurant yet, the building for the first time. And Tiana says, I got to make sure all of daddy's hard work means something. And I think that's where we see that line of overachieving for someone else and hard work. So, like I've said repeatedly, just the balance is in rest, take your breaks. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to take a step back. And I know that there's a lot of nuance in that statement because the reality for a lot of people is that we have to grind, we have to hustle to make ends meet. And that's so valid and so fair and so true. Um, but also honoring your capacity, and that's a big lesson I had to learn when I was working my corporate job, like fresh out of college. I was like, I very much had that mentality of like, okay, this is the step by step checklist of I graduate college, get a big girl job, get the house, get the marriage, get the blah, 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 blah. And then that is what is quote unquote success, right? Or that's what's going to make me happy. But I won't be happy until all of those things happen. And then I can like take a break and I can breathe and blah, 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 blah. And I was definitely that person where like work was my everything. It was like the center of my life. I lived to work. I wasn't like, or yeah, I lived to work, not work to live, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I burned out really hard. It took me over a year. I had to like I burned out really hard. I ended up in a like group therapy program, which was really, really good. And it was all about work stress. And that was the first time I realized and learned that like I was a perfectionist and I was allowing the things I do and how well I do them be the driving force for all of my actions, and I had to prove and show that I was good enough and deserving and I wasn't giving myself breaks. And a lot of that stemmed from my childhood. A lot of that stemmed from just existing as a woman, as an Asian woman in society, things like that. And I eventually ended up leaving the job so that I could pursue coaching and my entrepreneurship things full time. And then inadvertently, that turned into a whole other perfectionism thing where I burned out with that because it was like I just had the desire to keep going and going and going and going, and it wasn't ever enough. Like nothing would be enough until I hit X, Y, and Z. And that, like, so her song Almost There, and it kind of reminded me when we talked about in our Rapunzel episode, you know, like happiness isn't a destination, it's a journey to be experienced. We don't find happiness or a full sense of achievement when we hit X, Y, and Z, because we can always find something more. We can always find, oh, this is enough, this isn't enough. And it's when we can tune inward and say we are enough, regardless of how long our resume is, regardless of how long our list of achievements is, or how good or how big or whatever, you know, and just returning to that center of like, I am worthy as I am just for existing. And I'm allowed to take breaks. I'm allowed to rest, and I'm allowed to honor my capacity. Yeah, so that's everything you said. That's just what that's what came to my mind too. So yeah.
Yeah, I also think that all of that can be applied to a fitness journey as well, which is, you know, the lens of focus that I kind of focus through. Everything that you were saying, like a certain fitness goal can become an obsession,
Yeah.
and it can take away from living your life to its fullest. And I have been there in my own life too, especially like when I was deep in the throes of diet culture and like really had a specific quote unquote goal weight in mind. And then I would hit that goal weight and then I'd get another one and then another one. And like it was like
Yeah.
nothing was ever enough because you become so obsessed with what you can do more of, like what more can I achieve, what more can I like. And so I think that this all in a way can be applied to that fitness journey, and like what are you doing in pursuit of this goal that is taking away from your life? Like, are you not able to go out to brunch with your friends? Are you not able to go sit down and enjoy a meal? Are you not able to like are you not getting a full night's rest because you have to wake up at a certain time to get to the gym? And it is about finding that balance and finding a trust and a homeostasis in yourself where like you can pursue those fitness goals that you have, but they don't need to be the end all be all and everything that you focus on in life. There are other important things in life. And like, is it really healthy? Is it really taking care of yourself if you are, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Is it really healthy? And is it really taking care of yourself if you're so obsessed with a certain goal that you're actually depriving yourself of other needs?
Right. Like is it healthy to be chipping away instead of adding to your life, you know?
Yeah. And to change gears a little bit, sticking on the theme of body image, this is another criticism of the movie that I have. It's mild, but I do think that there's a bit of fat phobia when it comes to the character of Larry, the royal valet.
Oh, Lawrence.
Just with
Yeah.
the way, yeah, Lawrence. They come. I feel like someone calls him Larry at
I
some
think
point.
Dr. Facilier
Whatever.
calls him Larry, or yeah, someone does call him
Yeah.
Larry, but I was like, who's Larry? Oh, Lawrence.
Yes, the prince's royal valet, and it's because I think that they're making joke of the fact that like he's been it's in Dr. Facilier's song, right? It's
Oh,
like
he's
you've
been
been
pushed
knocked down,
around.
beat
Yeah.
down, pushed around,
Mhm.
yeah, like all that. And like and so his like greed, which I think is like a really big theme of the whole movie. There's like a theme of greed that sort of comes up, or like jealousy and envy. And so like that comes through, and then he becomes Naveen, and then there's like I just think there's a little bit of fat phobia in the fact that it's like, oh, but then but when I'm not Naveen, I'm not desirable, or I'm not attractive.
Mhm.
Or I'm not capable of achieving things because I am not a prince. And I think that that's an intention versus impact thing, where I think they were just trying to say like he's not a prince, therefore he is not capable of achieving these things. But I think the fact that he exists in a larger body, and like there is a very clear visible difference when he does like shift back into being Lawrence from being Naveen, that I do think there's a little bit of fat phobia there. that I perceived, at least.
Yeah, they make a lot of like fat jokes about him and poke fun at his quote unquote undesirableness because of the way that he exists. And yeah, that's not cool. Yeah.
Like in the Dr. Facilier, the song, if you like pause on the voodoo cards when they're talking about you've been pushed by your mother, your sister, your brother too. Like the mother is like obscenely obese, like jokingly like massively like larger. And I'm just like, does she have to be like that though? Like that's the kind of messed up. So it's like little things I did catch too, because it was just like, huh, like she couldn't have been like thin, you know, like she couldn't have been like, ew. It's like,
Right.
but Disney has a history of doing that. Like everybody that's, you know, unattractive is
Right.
of the larger persuasion. And I'm just like, okay, Disney. Just because we're, you know, have a couple extra pounds doesn't mean we're villainous, you know? It's like,
Right.
and
Right.
it's like, I don't know. I just, that's something I caught too. And I was like, I low-key just kind of brushed it off mentally because I was like, we have a black princess, so whatever.
Yeah. It's like, I gotta take the good.
I know.
Gotta take the good. Yeah, but it's true. Like Disney does tend to make most of like a lot of villains, you know, they're people of color. A lot of villains are people of color, a lot of villains are fat, a lot of villains are, and it's like, I know that it's such like a nuanced conversation because it's like, well, if there's more diversity in general, there will be more diversity in your villains as well. But it's when it's the only thing that you're seeing equals bad, like that is sending a subliminal message, and we need to rethink that, you know.
Totally. On the same vein of talking about Lawrence and Naveen, I do think for me another takeaway was like, just be kind to everyone, you know, like none of this would have happened if Naveen treated Lawrence better and not like he was beneath him because he was right. Just any ounce of respect would have been nice. And I think that even goes for Tiana, you know, with like the realtors, if they didn't see her as this tiny young black woman who's incapable of running her own business, you know, like money aside, being outbid wouldn't have mattered, you know, like she paid upfront, she paid in cash, like she did all the things. So I think
they still had that judgment of her.
And it was
so
the whole like almost like stay in your lane kind of mentality that kind of really upsetted me. I was like, I mean, I get it, you know, like that's the whole like part of the movie, you know, like they're adding that little, you know, adversity in there, you know. It's like I get it, but I don't know, it's still just like seeing it just made me upset. I was like, ooh, the audacity, the rudeness,
I know,
okay, the racism,
Yeah,
all right,
the microaggression, like
all right.
It's a little triggering. It's a little triggering, but I think it's playing into that, like what we were just talking about is a big theme of classism in this as well, and sort of just being like, well, Lawrence gets treated worse by Naveen because of where he's socially, his societal standing, and Tiana's getting treated differently because of her societal standing. But I think the great juxtaposition to that is what we were talking about before, which is Lottie, the way Lottie treats Tiana, which didn't have any of that classism in it.
I saw her as her friend. I love that.
Yeah, it was really sweet. Again, friendship, man, friendship. It's the friends we make along the way. That's what's so special. Shifting gears just a little bit. We really like HB, you already kind of touched on some of your favorite things, but Robin, we like to talk about like our favorite quotes, themes, scenes, and characters from the movie. So I'm curious, what are some of your favorite things? Like, do you have a favorite quote or a character?
For me, it would be the quote from Tiana's father. Her father's name is James. Because I was like my
Papa, sir, Tiana.
I was like my dad's name was James, so that's why I was like, I kind of bonded. I was like James and James. I was like, yo, Disney, why are you spying on me? But, okay,
this movie was meant for you. I believe it.
But it was yes, you wish and you dream with all your heart, but remember, Tiana, that old star can only take you part of the way. You gotta help him with some hard work of your own, and then yeah, you can do anything you set your mind to. Just promise your daddy one thing, that you'll never ever lose sight of what is really important, okay? And like I'm not gonna lie, like my dad like had kind of given me kind of like a quick little like speech kind of like that too. And it's almost like it's set into your mind, and yes, you know what he really meant. He really meant like family. He really meant like, cherish, those along the way, and make, time for your dreams, hard work for your dreams, but also, keep those around you close. But when the person that you love passes, you kind of warp that mentality in your mind, and it kind of becomes like, I gotta keep working hard, I gotta keep working hard, I gotta make our dreams come true. I gotta make them proud. And that's the part that kind of always stuck with me, is the fact that like when they've passed, you can't get that, like with her mom, she's still with us, so she was able to kind of be like the sounding block on some ideas on the restaurant or whatever, but she can never overwrite the last thought of her father in her head, because it's like he can't speak up for, himself, because he's not longer with us. And so it's like you always kind of have this idea of, I got to keep working hard, I got to keep working hard, I got to make them proud. And they're not here with us to say, okay, slow down, you're good, you don't have to do all this for us, you're good. But it's like we don't have that. We can't just be like, oh hey dad, like, are you proud, or is this good, or whatever, and are we doing too much, is this what you wanted? And it's like you can't get that, um what's it called, like,
That confirmation.
yes, you
Yeah.
can't get the confirmation. And that's the problem, and that's something that, like, that quote that always stuck with me, because that very part where he's like, that you'll never ever lose sight of what's really important, and then he's like, okay, and it's just like, okay. It was just that quote from him that really got me. And then the song "Dig a Little Deeper," that was
Mm.
something that, like, I loved, because like she wasn't understanding what they were trying to get across to her, and Mama Odie was kind of having a moment, was just like, how, because she's like, yeah, I gotta work harder, and it's like, no, no. Within yourself, dig deeper within yourself. Because it's just
Yeah.
like always in that go 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 mindset.
I like how Ray's like, all right, run it again. Cue up the
Exactly.
music.
Yes. That was one of my favorite parts. We got to do it again.
Stuff like that. Like that always resonated with me. And I was just like, yeah, that's accurate.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. I resonate with everything you said, because ever since my grandpa passed, I've also been like in the throes of like, I need to work harder, or I need to start making better money, or I need to do something else, something
Yeah.
bigger and better to make him proud, because I feel like he would be disappointed in me, and like I don't have him to tell me like, no,
The
I'm not. So
validation
of
isn't
course,
there. Yeah. It's
yeah.
like
So my
you
brain
need
of course is
that.
going to go into like, oh, because you don't know that he's not disappointed. He might be disappointed in
Yeah.
you. So you have to do
It's
everything
like
in your power to not make him
you can
disappointed.
be like, okay, I'm happy. Stop. I'm happy. You're good. I want you to be happy. But it's,
Exactly.
we don't think that, because that's not thought. It's like, no, no.
Who's your favorite character from the movie?
Okay, so this is gonna come as kind of like a who. I really love I love Shadow Man. Like, because it's just like he's kind of like one of the villains where he's not technically a villain. I mean, he is, but he's really more just like a grift. He's really just in it for
Yeah, yeah,
himself, which
yeah.
also kind of ties back to why I love Scar, because like Scar is one of my favorite characters. So it's just like I kind of like them because they're kind of like nitty, they're gritty, they're just kind of like, I'm gonna get what I want, I don't care what expense. I mean, Scar, spoiler alert, Scar does some things in Lion King that, just saying. But Shadow Man, he doesn't necessarily, I guess, I don't know if he kills anybody. I don't think so. I don't know. I think he just takes like their bad luck or whatever. Or like he takes like their soul. I don't know, something. He's mostly just trying to, make up for his own debt, for his own stuff. And it's just kind of like one of those villains where it's just kind of like, because all of them, they all have their own ulterior motives. But the Shadow Man, he's just like smooth, slick talking. I always think of him as like a used car salesman. He's like, I'm trying
Truly,
to get
yeah.
this lemon sold. Let me get this lemon off the lot. Get get you in this car, whatever it takes. You never have
Yep.
to push you down the lot myself. It's like, okay.
He's a
Great
great
villain.
villain. And I think I like what you were saying too, because like villains are pretty self-serving. And like
Yeah.
one thing I like about villains is that they I like to look at things from a villain perspective, because once you do, you understand why they are the villain, right? Like every villain doesn't see themselves as the villain.
Yeah.
He, like you said, had a debt that he needed to repay. He overheard this incredibly rich man talking about how much money he's got and that a prince was coming to town.
Yep.
And like, who has money? Princes and rich people. So he's sitting here thinking, like, how can I make this work in my favor? And I also think he's like genuinely a talented
Yeah.
magician, or whatever that like area of magic is
Yeah.
called in New Orleans. Like he does do all of these things using like
Yeah.
the voodoo practices, and like his song Friends on the Other Side is my favorite of the movie. So another hot take, like Friends on the Other Side, amazing song.
Fantastic.
Scary, really
Yeah.
creepy. The animation, terrifying. I think if
Terrifying.
I were a child when I saw this, I would have been like, turn it off.
Yeah.
But like, I think it was just really well done. I think it was just a really cool visual that they used along with the song. But he doesn't care what happens to any of these people. He just has his own end goal, which is to not to pay back his debt, because if he doesn't do that, he is going to die. And then, spoiler alert, he does die. And Marissa, I saw your note and I agree with it. It's really intense and a pretty dark ending for
It
him.
really is. It
Like,
really
I don't
is.
think he deserved that, to be honest.
No.
I think it's like the darkest unaliving we've seen in a Disney movie.
I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like it's tied because that one and the Scar one with the hyenas.
Good point.
Yeah.
That one's pretty
Same,
graphic or
it's
like
same.
gruesome
It's
too.
funny because I'm like, those are both my favorites. So I'm like, that says a lot about
Something
me.
something he says.
Yeah. Yeah. Did they ever say what his debt is? I'm so curious.
I think it's like very briefly mentioned. It's like
Yeah.
it was like he owed something to the shadow realm, and that's why they
Yeah.
drag him away in the end.
Mm,
I don't
gotcha.
remember exactly what it is.
He had to like claim something. It was like a certain amount, and that's what the little totem was. So it was like, I guess, collecting either souls or something from people, and he needed like a certain amount of them. I forgot how many, but it was certain. So it was like that.
Interesting. Yeah, I did not pick up on that. That gives me a lot of like Jack Sparrow, Johnny, or
Yeah.
Davy Jones vibes, where he has to like
Yeah.
collect however many souls to be free from whatever. HB, what about you? What are some of your favorite things from the movie, from Tiana?
Well, I think we all have the same favorite quote, so
I think
that's
so.
exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and it shows that like that was a really powerful quote
Yes.
from her dad. Like it hit all of us. So, so that's also my favorite quote. I have a lot of favorite scenes. I have a lot of favorite like, you know, favorite characters. One of my favorite moments is when Naveen is practicing his proposal to the star, and Ray thinks that Naveen is proposing to
Evangeline.
yeah, and he's like, he gets all ready to fight, and he's like, oh no, you're not. And Naveen's like, no, I'm just practicing, I'm gonna propose to Tiana. And then Ray's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna help you with that. Like, it's just so that moment to me is so special. But I mean, like, I feel like there are so many special moments. Also at the end when she does finally get her restaurant, and it's the menu is the drawing that she drew for her dad when when he originally had his dream from like her childhood. I think that's
Yeah.
like a really special moment. I think one of the hardest Disney deaths that I didn't realize until this rewatch is Ray dying.
Oh my God.
We
I
have to
like,
fast forward that. I fast forward that every time. Sorry, I
I
can't.
don't remember that happening.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was really upset in this rewatch. I was like, this is actually really heartbreaking.
But Dr.
But then
Facilier did kill somebody.
oh yeah, I guess
Yeah.
he did unalive someone. We
He did it.
yeah, but seeing the second star pop up right next to Evangeline after he died was really
that made me sob. Like, I remember him being squished, but I didn't remember the star, I guess. And I started sobbing because, God, I've been talking a lot about loss and grief here, but we had to say goodbye to my dog a week ago. and she's been with me through so much, and I miss her so much, and I've been like waiting for some kind of universal sign or confirmation that she's okay, and I haven't gotten it yet. And like, so when I saw that star where, and then their little star arms are touching or whatever, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I just need that for myself too. And like, oh god, yeah. I love Ray. I know we're not on my favorite things yet, but he's my
Oh, go
favorite.
ahead.
He's my favorite character. Any scene with him is probably my favorite scene. Like, he's
Yeah.
a sweetheart. He's so like authentically pure and innocent, and truly just wants to like help others. Also very family oriented, with all of his giant bug colony. And god, man, he deserved, I mean, I don't want to say he deserved better, because he eventually ends up with Evangeline, but like, that did not know I was going to cry over a bug.
Right?
Yeah.
Once again,
Well,
because he gets us with
I think
get us with the characters and the animals. They get us.
I know.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
it's almost like for the most part, I think except for Lottie, everyone's dream in this movie comes true.
Yeah, which is very sweet. That's my favorite theme, I think, of the movie, is just dreams, the pursuit of dreams, never stop dreaming. I don't
Yeah,
know.
Lewis gets to play jazz on the boat because they're all in animal costumes. So he gets to have his dream.
And he's like
Um,
part of the band at Tiana's restaurant. He's like
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he gets to play every night. Naveen found love and a successful woman to be with,
Yes.
I guess. This might surprise
Yeah.
some of the listeners, though, but I actually don't like their relationship. I think this is the first episode where I'm the one hating on love and not HB.
Robin, one thing you need to know is that I'm always the one who's like, fuck love. Love is dumb. I can't believe these Disney princesses keep falling in love. And LB is always like, no, love is beautiful. Isn't the ending so happy? Isn't this so romantic? So this is a hot take. Like, you're experiencing a hot take right here.
You're witnessing it here first.
I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I completely agree with you. I'm sorry, because they're cute together, and yeah, he kind of came around, I guess, a little bit, but not really. I just because I was going through a breakup, right? And so Prince Naveen kind of reminds me a little of my ex, and I'm just like, oh
Like,
no.
Yeah.
like, I don't
I get
mind.
that. It's tough when you're influenced by outside like
Yeah,
feelings too.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
Um
don't mind that. I think my issue, like, I don't mind that they end up together in the end. That's fine. I
yeah,
just feel like they didn't need to get married. They didn't
yeah,
need to be as
together.
committed to it. 'Cause my biggest critique is that, like, at the beginning, Naveen is seen as this like really bumbly, like
Playboy.
he doesn't know how to take care of himself or
Yeah,
anything. He doesn't know how to cook or whatever. And Tiana is
yeah,
so self-sufficient. And so to
yeah,
me, it just kind of it seems like Naveen sees Tiana as a caretaker, and that's
yes.
why
He got a
he's
mother.
attracted to her. And like, so I just don't think that they should have been married by the end, because I
Yeah,
think it's
I was
the
like,
dynamic
maybe,
can be,
sure,
yeah,
but
they
the
can be
can
together,
marriage,
they
I
can be in
no.
love. But I do love how supportive he is of
Yes,
Tiana's dream.
Yeah, it's so funny. We're on the flip. We're on the flip.
Or on the flip.
He I think I see what you're saying about him seeing Tiana as a caretaker, but what I think happens more is that in his digging a little deeper, he realized that he needs to learn how to take care of himself,
yes,
and he needs to learn how to love someone. He needs to learn how to not be so selfish, and he needs to learn how to like there's so much that he needs to learn, and I think that we do see him learn those things. Like when he
Just
minces
wasn't
the
enough for me.
mushrooms for her,
that's what I'm saying. I'm
he
sorry, yeah. Like, this is so
listen,
sweet for me.
let me say
Yeah,
my
go
bits.
for it, go
He
for it.
minces the mushrooms for her,
Mm-hmm.
and when it's time to build the restaurant, like he is someone who had been perceived as never lifting a finger in his life, and he rolls up his sleeves and he builds that restaurant for her
I love that. Yeah,
With
from the
her.
ground up.
With her. Yeah, yeah,
With
yeah.
her, yes, with her.
No,
Like
I
helps
know.
her build the restaurant.
I get it. There are definitely glimmers, there are definitely moments. I just feel like his growth is not where I would have wanted it to be, for me to be like,
yeah.
married. Like,
Yeah.
I'm happy they end up together. I think they're going to learn a lot from each other. You know, obviously Tiana learns how to, and I'm relating this so much to my own personal life because I was very much Tiana before I met my boyfriend. And I'm not going to say he was Naveen as if like he never lifted a finger. Like he also had to learn how to take care of himself, but like he's a little bit more lax. Like anytime we had to go anywhere and we had to be there at a certain time, I was like overly punctual. And I was like, we gotta go. And he was like, we can be late. Like, it's not going to be the end of the world. So I think that, yes, they will learn a lot from each other. I just feel like, to me, there wasn't enough evidence in the movie for me to like put my LV stamp of approval on their relationship, which I know is so probably
I'm shocked by
unexpected.
this. I'm
I'm
shocked by
shocked by
this.
this news.
I and I disagree with it. I'm
That's
shocked
fine.
and disagree.
That was
Yeah.
we've been there.
And
We've
I
been
think
there.
like
Yeah.
I think we also see like that they wouldn't have turned like I think their love is what allowed them to become human again too. Like they would have stayed happily frogs forever. And then and I think that was also a really beautiful thing too, is like they just decided that like their life was enough as it was, just like that. And then when they did get married and he finally kissed a princess, that's when they turned back into humans. And I do think there's something really beautiful about that.
There is. It just wasn't enough for me. But however, I will say I am in full support of this pro love HB we're getting here today. I like, where are you getting that from? Nope.
Don't be. No, I'm just kidding. I just think like, yeah, I watched this movie and thought, yeah, love is real.
Aw.
I love that for you.
And it makes me sad that it didn't for everyone else.
Like, okay, so for me, I love that they have this love, okay, and I adore them for that. But I don't know. I felt like it didn't have to end in a marriage per se. Like it could have been just like, oh yeah, he kissed her and they felt the love within, and that was it. And then like they had the restaurant dancing, all that fun stuff, everything. Just doesn't have to be marriage. Doesn't have to be marriage because I'm just like he did not grow in that small amount of time enough to condone marriage because she is a smart, bright young lady. And I'm just like, oof, that's not real life. I mean, they were frogs. That's not real either. But still, it's just like, I don't know that was something that just kind of got me because I was like, he's changing. Yes, he wants to grow and adapt and learn and be more self sufficient and grow into this role. But I don't know. I feel like it's not enough to fully justify like
No, I get it. I get it.
yeah.
I something that I like was thinking of that I forgot I was thinking of, but hearing you say that was very much like, does Tiana digging a little deeper really have to be romantic love?
Yeah. Yeah. That's all.
That's the question I'll put out there to the universe. Does Tiana digging a little deeper have to be romantic love? I don't think it did have to be
No,
romantic
it
love.
could have been self-love,
Yeah.
It could have
Yeah.
been her learning to set boundaries, learning to find that balance of
Yes.
rest
Yeah.
and honoring her own capacity and not
Mhm.
bringing in another person energy into her life and just
Yeah.
figuring out her own.
Yes. But what I will say is I think one of the overall themes of this movie that I really love is not only family, but found family.
Yeah.
And I think that
Yes.
regardless of if there were romantic love between Naveen and Tiana, there would have been that found family of like, these are the people I love. This is
Yeah.
who I love. This is who I want to spend my life with, which is why I do think that she chooses to stay a frog, because she loves the people that she found on her journey.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think that she could communicate with Lewis after they turned human?
Probably? Question mark.
It's at the restaurant, so I don't know.
I know.
More Disney magic to question.
Yeah,
Disney
right.
magic. That we can end on that note that the Disney magic is so real and it's beautiful and love is real. HB said it first. Said it here first. You all heard it.
Love is real.
Love is real. But yeah, Robin, thank you so much for your time and for talking this movie and this beautiful princess with us, while also looking so beautiful, dressed as Tiana. Truly, I think I agree with HB. This is now a requirement we're gonna have moving forward for every guest. HB, I don't know. I'm kind of wondering if it should be a requirement for you.
Well, I think that some of our guests are not cosplayers, but if the guest is a cosplayer or someone who likes to dress up, then yes. And if not, we should not put undue pressure on them because they might feel under enough pressure for even showing up on a podcast.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
But Robin, before we go, was there anything that we didn't get to that you really wanted to say? Do you have any parting words of wisdom, something you wanted to share with the listeners?
I just want to say that I'm so grateful for this. Honestly, though, this podcast is like amazing. Love it. Yes. And I'm so like appreciative too for the more inclusivity that's coming our way. And like Princess Tiana, and then we got Moana, and she's curvier, she's Pacific Islander. I was like, yes. And now we have a Black Mermaid coming. Little
Cheers to
Ariel,
that.
let's go.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
So that's
Yes.
I'm like, I'm very grateful for Princess and the Frog because it opened the floodgates for more inclusion and more, just diversity to kind of come through. And yeah, so it may be problematic at times, but I would still rather have something problematic that is something that is a doorway to more to come, and we can learn and build from that, and so yeah.
Yes. Oh, so well said. That was beautiful. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. We're so grateful to have you on today's episode and podcast. And thank you so much.
Yeah. Links in the show notes for where to find Robin. Robin Nerdy Nixon on Instagram and Robin Nerdy Cosplay on TikTok.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Robin, for being here, and have a good one. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Mental Health Multiverse podcast and for spending time with us, HB and LB. Special shout out to our musical composer, Little HB.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, feel free to share it with others, post about it on social media, leave a rating and review, or become an exclusive Patreon member to see bonus and additional content.
To stay up to date on all things MHM, you can follow us on Instagram at Heather Bodie and at littlebit_notbroken, or subscribe to our YouTube channel to see our faces and watch some fun bloopers. You can find all of these links in the show notes.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.